Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 86, right? Yeah. For some reason I thought it was 87, but now I'm going to go back and look at the numbers and realize we skipped one somewhere. Anyways, episode 86. As always, I'm your host, Nathaniel Rumpel-Jans, also known as Mr. Nintendo Prime. And I have our co-host, as always, the co-host with the mostest, Eric Moore.
Hello.
All right, we have a lot of great topics for you this week, so we're just going to jump right into it. No BSing, no preamble. Let's just get right into the topics if my phone will unlock, which it finally did. And the first topic we have, we're actually be talking about the Nintendo Switch Online service, which we haven't talked about in a while, because there's been some weird happenings with it lately. First up, Nintendo put up 2 videos over the past week, kind of advertising the service. One was an explanation of the service. Another one was them advertising the some more NES games that are coming in January. You know, they've been doing 3 NES games a month. And the one just advertising the service had a 32% like to dislike ratio with 170,000 plus views. The 3 NES game one, which is part of the Nintendo Switch Online service, has a 42% like to dislike ratio with over 200,000 views. And I think the only reason it's about 10% higher is because one of the games unveiled was Metroid. So you have the OG Metroid coming to it, so some people like that.
Yeah, that would do it.
But, I mean, we're like 42% is bad.
Yeah.
Okay, like my worst like to dislike ratio video was like 50%. Okay, and that actually just happened this past week.
Right.
And when people disagreed with me on the Piranha Plant DLC. So, to see like numbers like this worse than that on Nintendo's own YouTube channel, which is full of Nintendo fanboys.
That's crazy.
This is not good. People are still not happy with the service. They're not letting that, like, yeah, this happened back when it launched on September 19th, all the dislikes, but we're like almost 2 months past that, and people are still just not letting that go. In addition, Nintendo had their financial fiscal report over the past week. We're not really going to talk much about it, but there is something we're going to bring up for this topic, and it is that Shintaro Furukawa did his first, Q&A report.
I suppose I can probably sum it up for you. Nintendo made money. There you go.
They always make money.
There you go.
But the interesting thing is when he talked about their plans to get more users into the Nintendo Switch Online service, because they're obviously happy with the numbers, but they want to grow it. So, Eric, why don't you read the quotes here from Shintaro Furukawa on why he thinks, or what he thinks Nintendo has to do to expand the service.
Okay. We think Nintendo Switch Online had a good launch, but the service has only just begun, so we have no plans to disclose any current subscriber ratios or numbers of subscribers at this time. Our objective for launching the service is to bring more games, more features, more fun to Nintendo Switch. Our focus at this point is on boosting the appeal of the service. We need to further enhance the content of the service for the subscriber base to reach a certain size, so that is what we're working on, with the understanding that the time it will take to do so will be measured in years. Okay. As for the kind of service this will develop into in the future, Nintendo Switch Online is easily a digital service, or essentially a digital service, sorry. But we are also offering controllers, specifically for the use with Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo Switch Online exclusively to subscribers of the service. We see the need to develop the service beyond being merely digital, in ways to play to our strengths as a company that operates in an integrated hardware and software business. Good Lord, I can't read.
It's okay. So, in summary, for those who didn't understand his fumble through, they won't tell us the numbers of subscribers, or not even us, the people that are investing in Nintendo. They won't tell them the numbers of subscribers, which tells you they're probably not impressive.
Right.
Because if they were impressive, Nintendo would
boasting.
be touting them instead of talking about how they're planning to get more of them. Because because it's only just begun, so of course the numbers aren't good. It's like no, if you offer a good service, the numbers are good.
Yeah,
if you offer a bad service that are getting 32% and 42% like the dislike ratio on YouTube, which I know isn't everything, lets you know people aren't happy with the service. And so then they talk about how they want to expand the service by offering essentially physical things. Because it says you can't develop it just digitally. We have to play to our strength as a company operates an integrated hardware and software business. And they brought up the NES controllers. The NES controllers you could only get if you're a subscriber, and they only work with the NES games. You can't use them with any other games on the entire platform. They are controllers that are specifically locked to just their NES library. What?
Yeah, I don't.
There are games, by the way, folks, on the Nintendo Switch eShop, like there are arcade classics from Nintendo, that could use the NES controller, that only have 2 buttons and a D-pad to play.
Yeah.
Can't use the NES controller. And you can only buy, like, I don't know how they see this as a good business. We criticized this at the time. Yeah, obviously you're not going to need those NES controllers unless you have the service, since they only work with the games on the service. But why do the NES controllers even need to be locked that way and locked behind the service? You're costing yourselves money.
Yeah.
The NES control, no one's becoming, there's that one person.
I'm sure.
But no one's becoming a member of the Nintendo Switch Online service to buy NES controllers for their Switch that they can only use with the service.
Right.
Like, nobody's doing that. It's not a selling point of the service. Right. The idea that they think they need to go with more physical stuff to sell the service, it baffles me.
Yeah.
It's an online digital service.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You are charging people to access playing video games online. Ergo, nobody cares what physical things you offer.
Yeah, no, it's...
Especially when we have to buy them.
Right.
It's like, oh man, you're really enhancing that service by charging us another $60
yeah, right.
for optional controllers that only work for a select library of games. Like, nobody cares.
No,
and I'm not saying some of you guys don't think they're awesome or buying the novelty of it.
I thought they were amazing.
Like, you can have the novelty of it all you want, but you can't use it anywhere else.
Right.
So they're practically, they're not completely pointless, but they're pretty much pointless. It's not... I don't remember when they made a big deal out of those when they launched the service. I was like, wait, you're making a big deal out of something that's exclusive to the service that you have to spend extra money on. That's not going to expand your users. So you're telling me I just had to drop $20, and now one of the coolest things about the service, I got to spend $60 more on?
Yeah.
And you're going to release more stuff like this.
Yeah.
So how is that a service? You're just what you did is you created a service that where we pay for where it looks like we pay for the privilege to buy more Nintendo stuff.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
This is like Netflix. If you subscribe to Netflix, but then you have to buy, but then you're doing that so you have the privilege of buying individual movies.
No. This is more like you're subscribed to Netflix to have the privilege to purchase Netflix original series.
Yeah, you get all the other stuff.
But
the Netflix original series, you can only have the privilege to purchase individually.
Yes.
If you are a subscriber to Netflix.
Yes.
That is insane to me. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they shouldn't sell them and they should give them away for free. They shouldn't be behind the service. They shouldn't just be locked to the NES games. They should just be allowed to be used on any indie title or classic title, Neo Geo title, whatever, that could support that control scheme.
If the developer devs for it.
Yeah. Let developers make their games support it if they would like to.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will be very happy with the D-pad on it, and I'm sure it's one of the best D-pads available for the system. And... yeah, like let developers use it if they want. Instead, they're like, no, it's locked to this. You can only use it with our games. And by the way, you got to pay for it. And the
really crappy thing is,
how is this? This is their plan to expand the service?
Yeah,
more of that?
I don't know how it's expanding the service, but
yeah. I mean,
the one thing that really bothers me here is you get the service, then you buy these controllers, and let's say you're all of a sudden not happy with the service, and you're just like, you know what, the heck with it, I'm done. Now you're sitting with controllers that you can't use.
And you can't sell them.
Yeah.
You can't sell them to GameStop. They're not going to take them.
No.
Because they're novelty items that they can't even resell.
Well, I'm sure they can.
Yeah, they won't. You might be able to find like a game shop that'll take them.
Yeah.
Like one of those mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
That's only if they really know what they're getting into. Otherwise, they might not even realize it's official. They might just think they're fan-made.
NES controllers, yeah.
So... and the thing is, here's the thing. People aren't happy with the service, and I think we need to address why they're not happy. It's not just that they're putting online behind a paywall. Everyone's putting online behind a paywall. But there's things like the lack of dedicated servers, the things that you can't back up Splatoon 2. One of the biggest reasons anyone paid for the service so they continue to play Splatoon 2. Can't back that up because they won't fix how they do saves on it, because for some reason your multiplayer save data is saved locally on your Switch, which means anytime you turn on your Switch, or don't turn it on for that matter, you're in danger that your Switch just won't work and you lose all your progress in Splatoon 2.
Fantastic.
So there's that. They decided that putting voice chat as only being an option on your phone was a good idea. For some reason, like, as an option, fine, but as the only way to voice chat, why? Why are we paying for the privilege to use our device? Here, like I've been saying all along, fine, voice chat's on your phone, that's great. I can do voice chat on my phone through a zillion other apps for free.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay for the privilege to do that.
Right.
But if I want to do it in Nintendo games, I got to pay for the privilege to do that.
Well,
I can just tell all my friends to get on Discord.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. They're like, well, because you can't message anyone, by the way, right? Still can't do basic messaging.
Yeah, no.
You have no way to actually contact any of your friends
you still have to call
on
them.
Switch.
Yeah.
That's my thing. You have no way to contact your friends on Switch to set up multiplayer matches, right? So you have to use a Discord. You have to call them, right? You have to use the other functions on your own phone to get a hold of them. Great. So then why the hell do I need a separate app if I'm already getting a hold of them to voice chat with them?
Yeah.
What? Where's the logic there? The convenience of the voice chat, and I'm not even someone that would use it a lot, but the convenience of having the voice chat on the system is the point that I wouldn't have to have my phone with me or on. I can have it charging and not paying attention to it and just zone into the game, put on a Bluetooth headset, and call it a day. And you don't have to have this convoluted, splicing audio together setup to make it work.
Yeah, right.
And this is on top of the fact that Switch doesn't even support Bluetooth headsets when it should because it has Bluetooth.
Wait, there's no Bluetooth dongle?
Those Bluetooth dongles you can buy separate that aren't officially supported by Nintendo.
No.
But those create latency.
And then possibly break your system because anything that's not official, Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a problem. So people have all that problems with it. They have a problem with, you look at what the other companies are doing, right? And I know it's like, oh, don't compare what other companies are doing. I'm like, why? The other companies are charging you to play games online. But you know what? Those other companies know they can't get away with just charging you to play games online. They have to offer other things, whether it's Games of Gold or whether it's the classic library of games or whether it's, heck, they're offering, they're slightly older games, but you get free AAA games every single month on those platforms.
Yeah.
Quote-unquote free. Obviously, you're paying for the service, so it's not really free. But it's part of the service. You're getting all this value, and from Nintendo, like, we'll give you 30-plus-year-old NES games that you've played a zillion times. Oh, we added some online multiplayer functionality with it and just think that's good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, the caveat's always going to be, well, it's only $20 a month, or it's only $34 or $35, whatever, or $20 a month, $20 a year, or $35 a year for 8 different people, all on a family plan. It's not the principle of what the pricing is. It's the principle of you're not getting 1/3 of the features. Like, you pay $60 for Xbox Live, $60 for PlayStation Network. You're not getting 1/3 of the features for $20 a year. So how is the $20 a year justified when you're not even getting 1/3 of the features?
Yeah.
So the thing is, people are mad about Nintendo Switch Online service. And, oh, by the way, this is after the fact they decided to charge for online and access to play games online after allowing us to play online games on Switch for free for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So that's doubly crappy.
That's the
Not
thing,
even Sony did that when they decided to flip the Switch. They waited till the start of a new generation to flip that
and
Switch.
Sony's been known to do some goofy stuff. So the fact that Sony got it correct.
So Furukawa is essentially saying, without admitting to it, that the subscriber numbers are not impressive.
Right.
Because they won't talk about what they are. They always will if it's impressive. And they said to get to where we want to be, which is, again, admitting they're not where they want to be, they feel like they need to release more physical items that people can purchase. I'm sorry. Are they going to start creating a merch store that's exclusive? Like, that's fine. Okay, you have a merch store that's exclusive to people who subscribe. But that's not adding features. No. You're just giving people a way to spend more money.
Yeah.
So, there's this cool, you can get this Nintendo Switch Online account member, individual T-shirt or something in the future that's special edition and blah, 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 blah. And it's like you pay for the privilege to pay again to buy it. And it's like, but, okay. What? How is that a value? That's not a value add. The services we're talking about with like PlayStation and Xbox are just included, and they're digital based. The localized voice chat. The fact that here's the thing: not only is there a phone app, by the way, to do voice chat, there's no way in that app to contact people. We talked about before how you can't contact anyone to set up matches anyways. So what are we paying Nintendo for? We're paying Nintendo to let our phones do voice chat for us through Google's servers. By the way, Google offers that exact same chat service for free.
Yeah.
You can download, what is it?
Google Hangouts?
Google Hangouts, yeah. You can literally download Google Hangouts, use the exact same service for free. But Nintendo's charging us to access that service just because it has a Nintendo logo on it.
They're probably...
And the Google Hangouts, you can message people! So they're charging us for an inferior service.
It may also be that Google's charging them for using servers, but...
Well, maybe.
And
so?
But no, I'm saying some of that price is probably getting passed on.
So?
Which makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying that that's wrong.
Who cares?
But, yeah.
I don't care.
No, but the fact that you can do this exact same thing, actually more for free is, yeah.
Like, I'm a consumer, right? I don't care what Nintendo's spending. They're a multi-billion-dollar company that's highly profitable.
Right.
They could do better. I'm fine. Keep the service on our phone, but give us better. Let us message people.
Yeah.
Give us dedicated servers for the games that need it. You know what I was hearing from some people? They just updated Splatoon and they added like a new Salmon Run map and all this stuff. You know what I've been hearing from a lot of people playing? They're getting disconnected all the time. You know what fixes the disconnects? Dedicated servers. But we're not getting dedicated servers. No. Yes, there is like a game on Switch that has dedicated servers. But it had dedicated servers before we were paying for it.
What? Fortnite?
No, Mario Kart 8.
Oh, got it.
So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has dedicated servers, but it had those back on Wii U.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So it's not new. We're giving Nintendo money, and all we're really truly getting in return of any value is the privilege to buy NES controllers that only work with the service, and the privilege to play a bunch of old ROMs of NES games. Mm-hmm. That's what we're getting for $20 a year. And if you guys are going to sit there and look at me through this camera to my eyes and tell me that's good enough for me, then Nintendo's just bending you over the table and being like a nun and hitting you with those rulers. Like they're just
good old flogging.
Yeah, the good old flogging's happening. You know, they're getting an actual Switch.
Oh, there you go.
They're taking the Nintendo Switch because they're Nintendo.
There you go.
And they're probably just shoving it up there.
Woohoo!
And you're just okay with it. And I'm not saying all these things that Nintendo, you know, like even the peer-to-peer stuff or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or the voice chat, that it doesn't cost Nintendo any money, but it obviously wasn't significant enough they felt they ever needed to charge before.
Yeah. Oh,
and the other companies didn't have the audacity to be like, we're going to charge you, and yeah, this is all you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what Xbox did way back in the day, and sure, we can argue, well, they've had years and years and years to perfect this stuff.
But
well, guess what?
That means
Nintendo has years and years and years of ability to analyze what the other companies are doing
and try to make it better.
But they're like, oh, we're Nintendo, we got to do it our own way.
Yeah.
But your own way is literally charging money and providing garbage. Just garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the NES games are great. I played them 1,000 times.
Yeah. I
didn't get the service for NES. I got it for cloud saves, which don't even work for every game. Even though the other systems, the other platforms, make it mandatory. Nintendo will not fix their damn games. So instead of fixing the problems, we're just going to exclude Pokemon. We're going to exclude Splatoon.
Yeah.
And so they don't even do that. So yeah, works with 99% of games. Well, 2 of the games it doesn't work with are the biggest games on the platform. The ones that people want to back up their data for.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know we've ranted about this before. It's not it's not really a new topic, but
no.
Here we are 2 months later. The service isn't getting better. Nintendo is continually trying to advertise and push it, and they're getting just massive dislikes because they're not doing anything that's actually good for consumers. And on top of that, they're only giving us 3 new NES games per month. 3 games. Do you guys remember what Virtual Console used to be like? We would get like 6 games a week. It's like a game a day.
And the thing is,
and it wasn't just NES.
Do you know how big the NES library is? If they're going 3 games and they're going to try to do...
It's going to take years for that value to be realized. Well, why? Yeah. Because you're only adding 3 NES games a month? It's going to take years to finally finish out the NES library?
Right.
Or is it because you need this? Oh, I'm sorry. You finally release an SNES game a year from now and then have to sell the SNES controller accessories.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So one thing I actually just thought of would be kind of nice for like the phone apps, if they're hell-bent on staying on the phones, would be an app that allows you to access your friends list, and then you can actually text them through that app.
Oh, you mean messaging?
Yeah.
A messenger app. Like every app on the planet that has voice capabilities lets you message people.
but it actually allows you to
text. I use Facebook Messenger.
Right,
I use various other things that I video chat with, or whatever.
But at least gives you,
and
it gives you your friends list. That'd be nice.
Discord.
Yeah.
The fact that we have free services out there, free apps on our phone that are higher in functionality for what we're trying to get out of the Nintendo Switch Online Service app is laughable. That Nintendo wants to charge for the privilege to access that app.
I mean, I am really honestly surprised that they didn't like partner with Discord or something to.
Well, here's the worst part too. When they announced the Nintendo Switch Online app, they said, it would be voice chat, but they also said, there'll be companion apps, right? So they have the Splatoon 2 companion app, which is kind of neat. Gives you these stats that are just useless, but they're kind of funny to look at. Like, we talked about it in the past, and but now we're paying for it, and guess what? There's 0 new companion apps. So in over a year of development, they couldn't make a companion app for ARMS. They couldn't make a companion app for Mario Kart. They couldn't make a companion app for the upcoming Well, technically, I'm sorry. Well, let me reel that back. There is a companion app coming out for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh, is there? Oh, yeah,
Did you know? Yeah. It's separate. It's not part of the Nintendo Switch Online service, and everyone can download it for free. What the hell am I paying for? I'm not saying it should be for free.
Right.
But it's like, what am I paying for? The companion app that's supposed to be part of the online service is completely separate from the Nintendo Switch service.
Jeez.
So why are they still forced them to use this app?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and the question is, too, has the Splatoon one been updated at all? Showing anything new? Nothing?
I mean, you can get new gear. It's just like Splatoon. They update it where you can send yourself new gear.
So at least they're updating the one?
No, the one companion app, yeah.
So at least there's that, and they didn't forget about it and just kind of left it stagnant. And so, I mean, there's that at least.
I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know either.
And the fact that, this is the first time Shintaro Furukawa really took the reins, because the last fiscal report was the last one that Tatsumi Kimishima was part of. So this is the new president and CEO, and the fact that he's leading the company, and he says, but we're offering controllers specifically for use with Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online exclusively to subscribers of the service. We see the need to develop the service beyond being merely digital in ways to play to our strength as a company that operates its integrated hardware and software. What is it? Next up, exclusive amiibo? People don't want to subscribe to a service to have the privilege to buy stuff. What?
Why am I paying a store?
I don't subscribe to Amazon Prime for the privilege to buy stuff on Amazon. I could buy stuff on Amazon without. It's for the 2-day shipping.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I got it for the 2-day shipping, and you know what they said? Hey, you know what? Why don't you have these free movies and TV shows and music while you're at it too? I didn't ask for any of those. They just said, hey, you know what? Let's make our service better, not charge you any extra for it, and just give you more stuff. And when Nintendo's like, why make it better?
Yeah.
Why make it better? Let's just give you more stuff to buy.
Yeah. This almost just kind of reminds me of the Sam's Club model.
Sure. Yeah, where you're paying for a membership for the privilege to buy things.
Costco, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
For other people who don't know what Sam's Club are.
The thing with those that gets a little strange is there's 2 sides to that. There's your normal consumer side to that, because normal consumers that could just get a normal membership, and then there's the business side to that. I understand the business memberships because you can buy things in bulk at Costco and Sam's Club you can't get anywhere else as a business.
Right.
So it actually is cost effective to be a member of that place. So you have the privilege to buy these things in bulk that you don't have to. You don't have to form partnerships with specific companies and tie yourself to those companies in exclusivity contracts on products and then get screwed and not have them show up on time. You can just go in person in the store, buy bulk of your straws.
Yeah. I know. Right.
So there's benefit for businesses, but the fact that they sell the user memberships for the privilege to just buy, I guess the privilege you're paying for is to buy at the prices that businesses buy it at.
Yeah. Right.
I guess it's probably what you're paying for.
Yeah.
But
you're not
even
getting,
then, the whole
thing
business model.
But the thing is, too,
to me, that would be like, okay, you buy the Nintendo Switch, and then you pay. To me, I'm not saying that they should do this. This would be terrible. This would be like, you buy the Nintendo Switch, but then you pay for the online service for the privilege to use the eShop. That's what Sam's Club and Costco are like.
Right, but not even that. It's more of a privilege to get a discount.
Sure.
So now,
sure, you're actually getting more for less usually.
Usually, yes. So because most of them are bulk items, so this would be like, what I just had it in my mind and I lost it. Oh, Lord.
Bulk items.
Yep, I know.
More for less.
Yep, I know. I can't. I lost it.
Well, the more for less thing is interesting, too, because...
Oh, yeah, no, so, sorry, I just got it
Okay.
back. So this would be like paying to access a separate shop that they actually give you discounted items on.
So that's another fun fact. When the Nintendo Switch Online service was initially advertised, they talked about special discounts and special awards and rewards for members. So a lot of us were thinking, okay, cool. So what, do we get extra gold points for digital purchases and stuff? No. Do we get special discounts on games that no one else gets, like they offer on Xbox and PlayStation? No. No, we get the privilege to buy $60 NES controllers. And they're going to release more physical stuff with us for them. Instead of giving us an actual discount and giving us advantages to being a member, they're like, no, we're going to bend you over and then bend you over again. And you're going to take it and you're going to like it because we're Nintendo.
Yeah.
And you want to know why you're going to take it and you're going to like it? Because you want to play Smash Bros. You want to play Splatoon. You want to play our best online games. You're going to have to get the service anyway, so we might as well rake you over the coals while we're doing it to get even more money out. Like, for anyone that looks at this service as, well, it's just $20 a year, why complain? Because it's not. Nintendo's not looking at it as just a $20 per year proposition. No. Shigeru Furukawa just came out and admitted they are looking at this service as a way to enhance selling more exclusive items that people are going to buy for collector reasons alone. Yep. I bet you most of these NES controllers they sell are going to be for collector purposes.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to release more items and more products like this through the service that is exclusive to the service to make you feel special. And in feeling special, all they're doing is raking you over the coals and taking more and more money by making you part of this special elite club that not every Switch consumer can partake in. It's a... Yeah. You guys get mad at me when I call out Nintendo and shady business practices. He just said they're going to expand the... No, that's not going to expand the reach. What that's going to do is take the current consumers and keep getting more and more money out of them. It's not going to be a $20 proposition. Like, you guys think about it. Think about it like this. Everyone who told me, who cares, it's just $20 a year. Oh, you don't have to buy the NES. You're right, I don't. But enough people are going to buy those $60 NES controllers that they didn't just pay $20 a year. They paid $80.
Yeah.
And you spread that out over the current user base, suddenly the average price wasn't $20, it's $25, it's $30, it's $35, it's $40 a year.
Yeah.
When you spread it out across all the users.
Yeah.
So Nintendo has pulled the wool over your eyes if you're defending this.
And that's saying that they just bought the NES controllers.
Yeah,
Nintendo
might release something next January. They could release something next summer, and people keep buying this stuff. And suddenly the service isn't just $20. It's becoming more. So, yes, I would rather... honestly, truly, have Nintendo charge me $60 a year, give me all the standard features the other systems have, along with free games. And I'm not just talking free NES games. Give me free Switch games from last year. ARMS? You want a bigger player base on ARMS? Give it out for free through the service. Done deal. No one's buying it anymore.
Yeah.
Free through the service. 1-2 Switch.
Or
free through the service.
At least a massive
Snipper
discount.
clips. Free through the service.
You want to do a 50% off even. I mean... give us some sort of incentive if you want to still keep making money, which is fine. If you still want to charge for it, just give it at a good, discount, like 50%, 75%.
Yeah, whatever happened to? If you guys remember, this is like way long ago. Not the former, now deceased president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, put out this idea of a loyalty program. That was basically the more person that buys Nintendo games and Nintendo products on a system, the more benefits they could get over time. And that sounded like what this service might, at least to me, what it might have become. One of those things where you're rewarded for buying more games digitally or physically and registering them and all that stuff. Maybe you don't get extra gold points, but what happens is, the way he was making it sound like, is over time, the games become cheaper. So say you bought Breath of the Wild, say you bought like 4 first-party games over the past 12 months, the 5th one you buy, you get for 15% off on the eShop. That could be part of the service. And if you buy that game, the next game you get could be 18% off. And it just gets better and better the more you buy. Now, as games fall off, it would only be what you bought in the past year. Obviously, the discount could go away or get reduced. But say you buy a bunch of them. Say you bought 20 Switch games this year. Yeah, by the time you bought your 20th, maybe it was 50% off. But you were rewarded for being loyal to Nintendo. And because you're buying digitally, that's still a high profit margin for Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Because it would only apply to digital purchase. They can't make GameStop discount it. So,
right.
Man, but that's not what we're getting. Like, this isn't good, guys. The Nintendo Switch Online service isn't good. I'm not saying if you have it that you need to be mad. Maybe, most people I think that defend it just don't care, right? It's $20. They get to play their games online. They get their cloud saves, and it's good, and they don't care about the rest. And that's fine. I'm not saying you can't be one of those people. But I'm saying you need to obviously look at the whole of what Nintendo's doing. What Shintaro Furukawa just admitted to, that, yeah, it might only be $20 for you, but it's $80 for somebody else, or $200 or $300 or $400 over the next year in the merchandise they release that gets spread out over the course of everything, where the average cost per user goes up, and Nintendo's just raking the money in. I honestly think if they go that route, there'll be less users of the service than more, but who knows? A lot of Nintendo people really care about merchandise. I should know. You guys have seen the background of some of my videos, all the merchandise and stuff I have. Obviously, some people really care about that stuff, and they're going to want... people like exclusive merch, so they'll pay for the privilege to get it. It's just...
No, I know.
I don't like it. I just don't... I don't like what they're doing. I don't... There's a reason... And I'm not alone. There's the Nintendo YouTube channel's own videos are getting massively downvoted. Like, people are not happy with this service. They are not providing what is even a fair value for $20. Let's just be honest. It's not a fair value for $20. You could think it's a fair value. It isn't in comparison to any of their competitors. And I would rather them charge $60 and give us all the crap the competitors get than $20 and just hand us NES games and say, take it. Oh, by the way, we'll sell you merch too.
Thanks.
All right, what's our second topic?
YouTube on Switch. Is it a big deal?
So I put up a rumor about a week back about YouTube coming to Switch. Hey, someone's up there. Hello? If you tried to sneak up on me, nice try.
Yeah. No, I think it might have been just a bug. Wait, there's no bugs. It's winter.
No, heavy animal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Sorry about that. So about a week ago, YouTube on Switch, I put up a report that it was coming out because I saw it on the official website. It was like in the recommended apps section. And it said it was coming out on the 8th. It did come out. It works fine. Some people complain, I can't comment on like live streams and stuff with it. Well, you can't do that on PlayStation and Xbox either.
We've already established it has no messaging features.
Yeah, Nintendo's not going to let you message. Come on. But it's not just Nintendo. The app on PlayStation, it's a missing feature across the board. I do want to note, though, for any missing features you guys think are in this YouTube app, YouTube's being very transparent. They put up a website. Maybe I'll put a link down in the description. They put up a URL where Nintendo Switch users in particular can leave them feedback on the app for features they think are missing or they would like to have. So if you really want the ability to comment on live streams or maybe even on videos, maybe commenting on videos doesn't work. I haven't tried it yet. You'll go there and let them know commenting really matters to me. Please allow me to comment on the stuff. And, YouTube or Google might look into doing it. So, again, thank you, Google and YouTube, for giving a transparent way for us to actually not just criticize the app, but give you useful feedback to make it better. We don't know if they will make it better.
Hopefully it's useful feedback.
We don't know if they'll make it better. But at least they're saying, hey, look, we want your feedback. They're asking for it.
It's giving a place for people to go that are frustrated to at least vent their anger.
Yeah, I had a lot of people in
actually, surprisingly, that'll actually hopefully keep most of it out of the open public air.
It's true. Hey, Nintendo,
actually, it's very smart.
Take some notes there, Nintendo. The thing is, Nintendo doesn't want feedback on the Nintendo Switch Online service.
Well, the thing is they can provide a spot to dump it. That doesn't mean they have to follow it or read it.
Yeah, but they're not going to.
No, I know. But
like
I'm just
Nintendo,
saying.
You don't want me to complain about this? Give us a spot to leave the feedback, and I'll leave it because here we are going to be talking about this YouTube app. I don't have any complaints that I wouldn't just bring to YouTube and have them hopefully fix. And if they don't fix it, fine. Then maybe we'll talk about it later. Now, as for a big deal, the reason we're talking about the YouTube app isn't so much if the app is good or not. It's fine. It works as well as the PlayStation 4 version does. So that's all fine. Few issues. Well, really just one big one. Does this mean we're going to start getting more multimedia apps? Because this is the second one officially released in the U.S. Mm-hmm. It is the first one that's worldwide. So, like, Europe had 0 multimedia apps because they don't have Hulu there until YouTube came. Japan had 1, and it's their version of YouTube. They don't get YouTube in Japan.
Interesting.
And I shouldn't say they don't get it. It's just not their primary video. They have a government, regulations.
Yeah.
There was also a comic some comic service coming out. Yeah. That I don't know if that's coming to the U.S. I think it was coming to Europe. for sure. And then that's really all we know about. Some people are waiting for anime services, or Netflix obviously is a big one, and we all know the Netflix situation, all the finger pointing.
I don't know. Ask Netflix. I don't know. Ask Nintendo. I don't know. Ask Netflix. I don't know. Ask Nintendo.
So the fact we got YouTube, the fact that they didn't make a big deal out of it, I'm not surprised they didn't make a big deal out of it, because they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because
it's already been there.
It should just be expected to be.
Yeah, it should have already been there. Yeah.
Like, it's not. The fact that YouTube's on Switch itself isn't really a big deal, because Switch should just have these services. It shouldn't be a big deal. Like everything else, everyone's like, well, it's not a huge deal because everything else has it. But that's the whole point. That it became a big deal because Switch didn't have it.
Yeah.
Which made no sense.
Right.
How could you have a tablet device you use anywhere in your house that you can't watch stuff on? That you can't watch Nintendo Directs on? When you could do it on... I could do it on the Wii U Fisher-Price tablet.
Yes.
But I can't.
What?
I can do it on the 3DS. I can open up my OG fat 3DS and watch Nintendo Directs on it, but I couldn't do it on Switch. Okay, so now we can, thankfully.
Yeah.
So the question is, does this mean we're going to start getting more services? I mean,
there's
a year between Hulu and YouTube's release.
That's the hope. I think the right now it's a big deal because it gives you hope that there is other stuff coming. But you give it another 6 months, if we don't see anything else, that big deal is not a very big deal anymore.
Yeah, because it turns into what? We get one a year?
Yeah.
So what, we get Twitch next year?
So wait.
Okay.
Is this part of the online service? No. We're getting one...
They're going to go backwards in time. Yeah. When I think it was Xbox that used to lock that stuff behind the online service.
Yeah, we're going to get one. We're going to get one per year.
And then a year after that, we'll finally get the web browser.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about? There's already one.
Yeah, technically there's already one if you fiddle around with the social media logins. Man. Again, here's the thing, guys. I know it sounds like this podcast is a lot of criticizing Nintendo so far, but
I love Nintendo.
Like, it's not just that I love it. I love the Switch. The Switch to me is like ideal. I've talked about this in live streams before. I want the Switch as a system, as a platform, as a style of just hardware to be here for multiple generations. Oh, yeah. I don't want Nintendo to abandon this hybrid idea anytime soon. I want to see a Switch 2, a Switch 3, a Switch 4 that just advances the medium in a way, because no one else is doing this. No one else is doing the hybrid.
Right.
Nintendo's doing it. Let's do it right. Let's get it better each generation.
And I'm not even sure if anybody else is going to do it, whether Sony or Microsoft is going to go for the hybrid. I
just don't know. I don't know.
It'd be interesting.
I don't know what anyone's thinking at this point.
It'd be interesting to see where they would... I mean, I could see Sony attempting it maybe again.
Sure.
But I don't know about Microsoft. Then again, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, Microsoft's going cloud.
Yeah.
They got a cloud service coming in next year. They're going into the cloud. So, I don't know. I think... I just think that this whole situation, with Nintendo, love what they're doing, but they're not perfect. And I think that's what the Nintendo Switch Online service, I think that's what the lack of this multimedia app shows. While Nintendo's done a lot of things right, they've done a lot of things wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, the sad thing is, it's not really that sad, but isn't it in January they're finally closing all the online services on Wii?
Wii.
So finally, Wii, by the way, a system that is ancient, had Netflix, had YouTube. I don't know if it ever had Twitch, had Hulu. Has more multimedia, a web browser, and they didn't charge you for any of it.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're going to take that away. It's fine they're taking it away. I mean, Wii's 12 years old. But that's the thing. A 12-year-old platform has better services than a 2018 platform.
Don't take it away unless you're going to give me something to replace it with.
Yeah. If you're taking away Netflix on Wii, I guess you still have it on Wii U.
I guess. But who has a Wii U?
Here's the thing. You want to watch Netflix on Nintendo platform. Well, but you don't want to go old gen. Well, you better go pick up one of those 2DSs.
Yeah.
Because you can watch Netflix on those. I should know because my daughter watches Netflix on her 2DS. It's the most ridiculous setup. Like, I've done it just to see if it actually works. It works. Makes no sense. Everything's really blurry. Kids just don't care. But as an adult, I'm like, well, of course I'm going to watch it on my phone when I have that with me in comparison to a 3DS.
Why not?
And the speakers are terrible.
Yeah. No, for sure. But if you're going to take one away, at least give me a platform to take it over.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's the sign that it is coming. Maybe it's another sign that they're coming.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Please. Okay, so again, we don't really know if it's a big deal or not. We hope it is. We hope this means we're going to start getting regular apps coming. Obviously, I think next up could be Crunchyroll. That might be nice.
That'd be fun.
Or Twitch, probably another one.
Yeah.
There's another one Nintendo puts Nintendo Directs on, does their Nintendo Treehouse Live on there. It could be, I mean, we'd love to see Netflix, but clearly there's an issue between Nintendo and Netflix. We don't know what it is, but if I have to keep pointing fingers at each other, who knows? I think the big thing is on the 16th we'll know, because there was that rumor about the Zelda TV series that might be a Netflix thing. I think if that's coming to Netflix, then I don't know how Netflix doesn't come to Switch.
Right.
Besides Nintendo being Nintendo.
There is that.
But
yeah.
All right. So next up is this. This is just a sad thing for me. Prima Games is shutting down. Prima Games has been around for 28 years. So basically my whole life. They have been the #1 video game guide creator in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah,
I don't know about the world, but at least in the U.S. Basically my whole life. Most of the guides I've ever bought for games were Prima. Heck, most of my Zelda guides were Prima. Like, and I'm not saying I used them. I was just like collecting them and reading them at school and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like when magazines started really fading out. And yeah, there's still magazines out there, of course, but not as many. I think another gaming magazine shut down like a month back. I don't even know. I'm just Game Informer, like the last one left now. And that's only surviving because of the pro membership at GameStop.
Yeah.
So
didn't Nintendo bring back
Nintendo Force magazine is not made by Nintendo.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No. What Nintendo brought back was a podcast called the Nintendo Power Podcast.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's what it was. Yep. I knew.
Which, by the way, the Nintendo Power Podcast is pretty good. It's not a good... If you're looking for unbiased Nintendo talk, it's not a good place to go because it's officially sponsored by Nintendo. But what is cool is it's kind of like an extension. I mean, they don't release it very frequently. That's one thing. It doesn't really seem to have a pattern to release. But every time they do release one, it's kind of cool because they do have developers and stuff on. So it really reminds you a lot of like Nintendo Treehouse Live, but without the threat of being live. So they can have good editing and all the Nintendo sounds. And it's actually a really nice podcast. It's just it's just not for unbiased. But they have really good interviews, you know, as much as they frame all the interviews as positive.
So right up fanboy alley.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think it's great that it exists.
Right. No, for sure. But yeah, like Nintendo Force magazine's great. It's an awesome homage to Nintendo Power of yesteryear. But it's completely made by industry professionals in video game media. But it's just, by like Nintendo people in the video game media doing it. So it's not actually supported by Nintendo. Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I was thinking about the Nintendo Power part of it.
And that's fan-funded online. I think they had a Kickstarter at one point.
Right. I was thinking more of the Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
And Nintendo then I forgot that it wasn't actually a magazine.
Yeah,
I
Nintendo
forgot
Power
they brought it back as a podcast.
Nintendo Power hasn't been around for a long time. Right. 2011? 2010?
Yeah, something like that.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure. Sad day, though. I mean, this is...
So Prima Games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other guide providers, so guides aren't necessarily going away. But the #1 maker of them is. I mean, I guess in one way for the guides in particular, I mean, the internet has made it, not as relevant. You can get free walkthroughs on YouTube.
Yeah.
Heck, I was working at Zelda Informer, Zelda Dungeon, like lots of walkthroughs for Zelda games there. You didn't really need to buy the guides if you needed help. And Game Facts and all this stuff to get all the stuff at. So, honestly, it's been the writing's kind of been on the wall. The more easily accessible the internet became, the less and less people needed to buy guides for the using of the guides. People still bought them for the novelty and for the collectors, but that's not really... I don't remember the last person I know, anyways, that bought a guide because they wanted to use the guide. Maybe look at it and see the official art, but they didn't really buy it for the guide itself. Now, I'm not saying there aren't kids and stuff that might be still into that, but I don't even know because kids these days are now rocking cell phones at young ages, and they might not care about that stuff anymore besides just looking at it when they're at school like I did. I never actually used the guides for walkthrough purposes. I just read them at school because I thought it was cool. You can learn like a lot of little facts and lore that might not be in the game.
Right. I know Chris and I used it for Crystal Chronicles quite a bit.
But it was a terrible guide.
But it was a terrible guide.
It
was a terrible guide.
That was a bad one. So... It's really good for 100%ing. If you don't care about spoiling the game and you're just trying to 100%, it's really nice to have a guide that 100%s everything. So, like, where that last thing you need to do is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you might not figure it out on your own. And I know there's a thrill to figure it out on your own, but you might not even know if you 100%ed it, because back in the day they didn't have like percentage meters letting you know if you 100% of the game or not. So So yeah, I'm kind of sad they're shutting down. Obviously, we didn't get any statements from them about whether it was business decisions or a change in the business or change in culture or what it was. You know, maybe
what the reasoning behind it was.
Yeah, we don't really know why they're shutting down. Obviously, if any company's shutting down, it's because it's not necessarily making a lot of money. So that's obviously at the center of it all. But I'm gonna miss them. They made some good guides, some not so good guides. Always depending on who was the writer behind them, but. It was always neat because they always got like access to official art that you couldn't get anywhere else. I remember on with the Zelda guides when I was doing putting up like all this information on the games on the website. I would have to like go into the guides and like rip some of the official art out because that was the only place that official art ever appeared officially. So yeah, it was. I'm gonna miss it. I think it's just. I think it hurts. For most of you out there, it probably isn't a big deal.
I think it's more of a nostalgia hurt.
It's completely nostalgia because it's part of my childhood is going away.
Right, for sure.
And it kind of, like, I realize it means I'm getting old. That's fine. But I didn't think I was old enough to see guys go. I mean, here's the reality. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but eventually there'll be a day when you can't buy physical games anymore. And you guys are going to feel ancient then, too.
Yeah, right.
Because you're like, what do you mean you can't buy physical? I remember buying those for 40 years. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Now you can't anymore.
Yeah, right.
I don't know when that is. I hope it's not anytime soon. But, that's a potential reality in the future as well. So, I mean, the internet's great, but this is the downside. Is because things are so easily accessible, we don't need to have physical items anymore. And I guess the last topic, I just wanted to touch upon this mostly because there was news this past week about Nintendo hiring a couple new staffers to the Zelda team. So, I mean, they've been working on a new Zelda game for quite some time. For people that are thinking this is for DLC for Breath of the Wild, because of Shintaro Furukawa's words that they're going to make more DLC for their big games on Switch, Eiji Aonuma came out and said they're done making DLC. So, the person who made the game said we're done. So, I'm just going to trust they're done and they're working on the next Zelda game.
Yeah.
What I want to know is what are some of your desires? Like, based off of Breath of the Wild, what are some things that maybe you'd like to see improved upon or done better or something for the next Zelda game?
I don't know. Has there actually been a Zelda game where Zelda is the main character? You know what I'm saying?
Zelda, I think Zelda's Adventure. CDI game.
Okay.
Not official.
Right.
By Nintendo. But it was an official product.
Right.
Licensed by Nintendo.
Right.
Technically.
So, actually, it'd be really actually kind of cool to see the script flipped, where Zelda has to save Link from something.
Okay.
I think that would actually be really cool. Give an empowering new feminine main character, and, see how they can build that story
And I think what's interesting about that is there's actually a perfect spot in the timeline already to do it. The biggest, easiest way to do it is in Ocarina of Time, there's that 7-year gap between when you are a kid and you become an adult, when you pull the Master Sword. Okay. So you're asleep for those 7 years. In that time, Zelda goes from a little girl that's captured by Ganondorf to escaping him and becoming Sheik. That, to me, is an amazing gap.
Yeah.
That where you could have... obviously, you could do a whole brand new idea, but this is actually a legit excuse within current Zelda lore where, Zelda could be playable, and you can explain, the big thing, first you have the escape, that's kind of like the middle of the game, you finally get to the point where you escape, and then you have all the training, and then the becoming of Sheik, they could end the game with your first encounter with Link as Sheik.
That'd be cool.
That's like a perfect, I know a lot of Zelda fans would be like, yes!
Yeah.
Yes. And throughout that, you see Hyrule getting destroyed along the way. So it feels like all hope is lost. And then you run into Link.
That'd be cool.
And so then it kind of has that epic music where hope is starting to get restored because there's the hero that we've been waiting for. And then all of a sudden, that could lead into what everyone wants, an Ocarina of Time HD coming out.
Right. That would be... There you go.
That would be sick.
There you go.
That would be sick. But again...
There you go.
I don't... Nintendo. They don't want to listen to my ideas.
Right. Another thing that I thought of that'd actually be kind of cool is a Breath of the Wild prequel. So go back into the time.
Go back to
the 100 years before, or what? I think it was 100 years, wasn't it? That you were
100 years back. Yeah, we've only seen cutscenes from back then.
Yeah. So go back and play through that time period.
Sure.
Up until you basically
until you put it to slumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you almost are dead, and then and then you could actually see extra scenes that maybe you didn't see. Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. Obviously, there would be some callbacks to Breath of the Wild because some of the things that you had memories of would actually happen.
Right.
But that would be really, really cool. I've always loved that idea of going back then. I also think it would be interesting because there's a massive gap, 10,000 years or whatever, right, in there to Breath of the Wild. So when all of those Sheikah technology was made, it would be really cool to have a game take place in the era where all that technology was being made.
Yeah, where you're running through Sheikah towns and stuff
Just
like that.
Just like I always thought it would be really cool to have a prequel to Skyward Sword, which is the first game in the timeline, because in that game there's references to an ancient time where technology was like the king of everything, and these crystals were running everything, and there's robots and like all this stuff that all sci-fi like that you'd never think Zelda would ever go full sci-fi, but like there was a time in the timeline that's what it was. It would be cool to visit that and just see how, like, what happened. Why is this stuff no longer around, for sure?
Has there ever been a game that explores the origin of Ganon and Ganondorf type of thing? Like, why all of a sudden he's the way he is and does things?
I think it was Ocarina of Time that explained it.
Okay.
Because he was the first male Gerudo in like 100 years or 1,000 years, something like that. And male Gerudos are naturally, like, the reason they're so rare, I guess, is because they're so power hungry. Because the Gerudos are like this, really cool faction of characters that have a long-standing history, and every time there's a male born, they're like become the king of them all, and want more power. Hence, Triforce of Power going to him. But I mean, it doesn't really dive extremely deep into like his childhood and how he became what he was, and obviously all the Ganon stuff as well. That technically you could argue, well, Ganon and Ganondorf are like the same entity. There was a time when Ganondorf didn't exist, but Ganon did.
Yeah.
So how did Ganon kind of remanifest into this newborn Gerudo? That would be something too that would be cool to explore. And one thing I think would be really neat is just in general a game from the enemy perspective.
Sitting in camp and all of a sudden just getting attacked. What the?
Well, what I think would be like say like Breath of the Wild is probably not a good example since Ganondorf is kind of trapped the whole time, or Ganon's trapped the whole time. So nothing really much happens with him until the end. But I think what would be neat is just any sort of game where you could take it from the villain's perspective, and actually, because one thing I liked, one of my favorite iterations of villains in the Zelda was actually Ganondorf in the Wind Waker. Mm-hmm. Because when you get to the end of it, and the story finally comes together, and you're trying to make sense about it, like everything just sounds like this Ganon guy's this big evil dude, and all of a sudden towards the end, there's this long little story structure, this conversation between Princess Zelda, the King, Link, and Ganondorf, where Ganondorf like shows a human side to himself. He shows a few things that you would expect him to ever show. One, he regrets what he did that caused Hyrule to get flooded.
Wow.
Because the goddesses flooded Hyrule to protect it from him. He actually didn't, like, it's not just he regrets it because he lost his power. He regrets it because he never intended the land to be completely destroyed.
Well, yeah, he wanted to rule it.
Well, yeah, but so it's like he regrets that and the people that were lost and his people that were lost.
Right.
He, like, the Gerudos are gone.
Yeah.
Gone. His entire race is gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's my fault.
Yeah.
I forced them to have to do that. And then the whole, like, what I am trying to do now, I know it doesn't look good, but I'm trying to restore. From his perspective, he's the good guy. Yeah, he's going about it in a weird way of kidnapping girls because he's trying to find Princess Zelda because he wants that Triforce, but he's not using the Triforce necessarily for evil. He's trying to restore the land. He's trying to do what Link is usually doing.
Yeah.
You would figure if the flood's going to go away, Link is the reason the flood went away.
Yeah.
No, Ganondorf is trying to make the flood go away.
There you go. That's crazy.
And for one reason or another, you come to this realization of, in the Wind Waker, Ganondorf isn't really that bad of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone who's learned from his mistakes, who's trying to do right and trying to restore life. And you have these other people that are trying to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea is, at least the way the king phrases is, they're kind of, you can't undo what's been done, kind of thing. Like, we have to focus on moving forward. Like, we have to, what happened? Like, if you restore everything, what happens to the people that are here now?
Right.
Like the people that, like the Rito, what happens to them that evolved from Zora? Is like, what happens? All this stuff. And as we find out in Breath of the Wild, maybe just become more like birds. But,
right.
Still, it's an interesting situation. And what I like about that is, wouldn't it be great to be Ganondorf or something from the beginning and actually see things from the villain's perspective? Because what often is the case in games, and we don't see this side of it, is that we always, here's the big baddie, blah, 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 blah. Let's go stop him from destroying the world. But we don't see things from their side where, to them, Link is the bad guy.
Right. And that made me think of another game's possibility, where you have 3 separate games of the same storyline,
but from 3 perspectives.
Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf, where you play through kind of the same story arc, but you're each trying to do your own thing. It's almost in a way of like Lion King 1.5, where all of a sudden you're Timon and Pumbaa, you're seeing their side of how they fit into everything.
The difference is Lion King 1.5 was kind of shoehorned in.
Oh, right.
But some of the things, it's like, that's not exactly how
it's not
in the movie.
But it's really kind of
just trying to make it make sense.
Funny
but
that
if it was planned from the beginning,
right.
Like, it would be cool if you couldn't fully understand everything in the game with all the characters unless you played all through.
Right.
All 3 story arcs, anyways.
Right.
I think that would be really cool. As weird as it might be that you're Ganon and you're like trying to get these guys to stop Link or whatever, and you have to battle Link at the end, it doesn't matter. At least you understand from his perspective. I think it would be very interesting. I think it's way deeper. The whole time we're talking about is way deeper than Nintendo, I think, usually gets with stories. But it would be really cool. Besides that, I think obviously the most obvious thing to get is just another Zelda game.
Oh, right, yeah.
I wouldn't mind like a top-down one, which is fine. We haven't had one in a little while since Link Between Worlds in like 2013, so I wouldn't mind having another one of those. If they're going to do another like full Breath of the Wild open world game, I think that's probably their next logical step, is to do another one of those, since they have all the Zelda team combined now. I think they just got to build on top of what's already there in Breath of the Wild, so the physics engine.
Right.
All that stuff. They can go with a different art style if they want. It doesn't really matter to me. But, stick with the same engine and learn things. Like, bring back dungeons. Like, full-on, massive, sprawling dungeons. And with how big that world is, they should be the biggest dungeons we've ever seen. I don't care if you want to bring shrines and Korok seeds back for some reason. Just don't make those, like, the primary... Like, learn that while that was an interesting idea, find better ways to make people want to explore. There are better ways to make people want to explore. In fact, a lot of the reasons that I explored the world had nothing to do. I just wanted to see things.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the shrines and the Korok seeds. And I understand some people view that as, those are just your rewards for exploring. I get that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, when you're facing your 50th, battle shrine of the same battle. Yeah. What am I being rewarded with again? Tedium.
Yeah.
Korok seed, the 80th rock you've picked up.
You're rewarded with a chance to expand your hearts and or stamina meter.
They could find a better way.
I don't.
One reason that they don't have traditional dungeons, which is when you used to expand your hearts and your stamina and stuff.
Right.
So bringing that back, I would like to see him have go all out. Give us 18 major dungeons.
Holy cow!
Just go nuts, like double up Twilight Princess. That would be great. And I know that takes a lot of time. And what's nice is one of the guys they were hiring specifically in the Cliff Notes said, like, one of their responsibilities would be dungeons.
Ooh,
so it's like...
There you go.
Yeah, but they consider shrines to be dungeons, so...
Oh, Lord.
Shrines are a bunch of mini dungeons. That's like...
Okay. Sure.
I mean, I don't know...
Wait. So, are we still hanging on the hope that it didn't say mini dungeons?
Well, no, because... Okay, fine. What about the 4...
Divine Beasts?
The 4 Divine Beasts. Those are their dungeons.
Right.
But all they were was like 2 shrines put together.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's
I mean,
your dungeon.
They were
They were
cool.
neat. They were interesting, but they were very samey.
Yeah.
And it really wouldn't feel like when you go from like a forest temple to a volcano world,
Right.
to an ice world, to like, using, even though those are cliche themes, and I would like to see them do something more unique or different or interesting. All the shrines were the same themes. All the beasts were the same themes.
Right.
It's like, but we have this like Death Mountain. Why don't we have a Death Mountain based like dungeon?
Right. No, it definitely it makes sense in the context of the game with the Sheikah.
Why isn't there an actual underwater water temple? There's a lot of water.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. And you're telling me that in the middle of, what is it, Mount what again? The big volcano?
Oh no. Death Mountain.
Yeah. You're telling me there can't be a giant dungeon within the middle of that, and you're running around inside of it?
Like there has been in times
in
games in the past.
Yeah.
So those are things I'd just like to see them improve upon based on what we know. But obviously there's a lot of unique ideas, a lot of directions they could take Zelda that they've never really done before. And I think that's the exciting thing about the Zelda series. We never really know what they're going to do next. For all we know, we're getting the Mario Galaxy of Zelda games next.
Yes.
And we're going to be in outer space with aliens. Like, aliens were almost in Breath of the Wild kidnapping everyone, so... Like, they were in Majora's Mask. They almost made that, like, a real thing in Breath of the Wild. So, who really knows what they're going to do? I don't know if they know what they're going to do yet.
Right. Oh, gosh. I just thought of the greatest thing ever. So, you know how this is called The Legend of Zelda?
Yeah.
So, if they actually make Zelda the main character, can we all of a sudden call it The Legend of
Link?
Legend of Link?
Yeah.
Just flip the script completely.
I mean, technically, Zelda 2. You gotta Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. They actually.
You gotta keep the confusion going.
It was actually really confusing too. At the time when Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link came out, the only game that's not titled The Legend of Zelda, right?
Yeah.
It's just Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
Right.
Ironically, that was the game that originally explained why it was called The Legend of Zelda. It did it through the manual.
Right.
They didn't put a lot of story in the games back then, but it was like. So the game that actually explains why it's called The Legend of Zelda isn't actually called The Legend of Zelda. I thought that was a very interesting...
Fantastic.
That's a very interesting decision there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the game that explains it. So because this one explains it, we can't call it Legend of Zelda. It's Zelda 2.
Right.
The Adventure of Link. It's about Link.
Right.
But this is the game that explains the legend. Anyways.
Right.
I think that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you would like to get more of the older episodes of the Nintendo Prime podcast, you can tune in to iTunes, NintendoPrime.net, Google Play, or Podbean. All you gotta do is look up. If you just Google Nintendo Prime podcast, you're gonna find it at a bunch of different locations. We obviously have a lot of the episodes here on YouTube as well. If you would like to go back and watch some of the older video episodes, we have audio episodes. You can get them early as well on Patreon.com/Nintendo Prime for $5 per month. You get the podcast audio version a full day early. For $10 a month, you actually get to watch us record it live. And then for $20 a month, you can actually be on one episode of the podcast per month. We limit the spots for that. I think we only have 10 available spots. 7 are taken, although only 2 people are taking advantage of it, so whatever. That being said, also, we should probably thank our patrons. Once per month for any $10 patron or up, we will read off our patrons on at the end of a podcast. So who do we got for our $10 patrons?
That would be J-Dub, Edward Norton, and Zenith.
All right, cool. And then our $20 patrons for the month of November are Be Righteous, 2 Holmes, Neil Willis. Love you, Neil.
Yeah, buddy.
Andrew, 243, who was on the last podcast.
Yeah.
And then James Robert Ernst, who will be on the next podcast.
Nice.
So there we go.
Nice.
I want to thank all you guys for your support, and all of our patrons and all of our viewers and all of our subscribers, all of our followers on Podbean, everywhere. Thank you guys so much for making this podcast possible. Thanks for making Nintendo Prime possible. Before I sign out, I do want to mention that we actually, next podcast, potentially, might be the podcast after, we're going to have some new podcast-specific merchandise.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah, you'll see some T-shirts or whatever. Technically, there'll be mugs and stuff, too, that we're just not going to have right now. But once that stuff's in and you can see it, we'll probably mention it, advertise it a little bit, and put links down on the screen for anyone who wants to become part of the Nintendo Prime podcast family and represent us out in the world. Give us that free advertising like every other piece of merchandise in the world does. Or not. I don't know. It's up to you guys. I think they're going to look really nice when they get here. We got 4 different shirts coming in, 4 different colors, with 2 different logo designs on it, which should be cool.
Nice.
So, like, yeah, this is one of the OG Nintendo Prime shirts, but this is not a podcast-specific one. This is just a general Nintendo Prime shirt, which I think there actually already is a link in the description.
Yes.
To go purchase one of these if you would like. This one's actually been around for a while, so it's kind of beat up a bit. Maybe it's not showing on camera how beat up it is, but it's pretty beat up. Still looks all right. You ever see me wear those jackets? Those jackets are nice. Those zip-up hoodie jackets. Yeah. I know, like, they're the Hanes jackets, but I'm telling you, man, I've put my water here is garbage, and I've washed them a ton. They still look brand new. Mm-hmm. Like, those jackets are nice. They're comfy. They're decently warm. I mean, they're not like winter jackets, but you need something when it's just the in between. Like when you wear a sweatshirt.
Fall spring.
So yeah, we'll probably just do a whole little merchandise feature. Maybe I'll have to make a video about our merch because I don't really. I mean, here's the thing. I don't expect anyone to ever buy any of it or care about it but me. But for personally, you guys let me know what you think about this. When you're wearing like merchandise of the brand on the shows that you're making, I don't think it's less about getting people to buy it. I mean, it's cool that they can. I think it's more so it just makes it feel professional.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're T-shirts, but they're company T-shirts.
Yeah.
So it makes it just feel like Nintendo Prime's a real thing, a real entity. Mm-hmm. It's not just me in my basement. I mean, it is just me in my basement. Because my studio's in my basement. Yeah. But whatever. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. And this podcast and any future podcast. And if there's any special guests out there you would actually like us to reach out to ask if they would like to come on the podcast, let me know. I'm always up for suggestions on that front as well. I know you guys love when we have special guests on. It doesn't happen as often as it used to. Let me know if there's anyone that we haven't had on before or someone you would like to see come back. Maybe your comment will convince them to come back. Hey, someone does remember you.
Hey,
see? All right, folks. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at NintyPrime. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Emo8790.
Yes.
Figured I should know that by now.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, I guess I do know it technically.
It is in the description. So.
Yeah, it'll be down in the description as well. Otherwise, yeah, you guys can also probably start checking. I'm going to be advertising 2 things coming up as well. I'll just briefly mention one. We're going to be starting putting up some news at NintendoPrime.net that might not be covered at the YouTube channel. So it'd be good if you guys want to go check out NintendoPrime.net, every day, once a day, just check out what news we got going on there. That helps support also our endeavors to go to E3 next year because the more viewership we have on the website, the higher chance we can get media passes next year. And then we will be, I'm going to kind of clean things up a bit, and I'm going to start pushing our community forums. So people always ask me, do you have public Discords? Do you have this? Yeah, you can get on Discord, if you're a member of our Patreon. But if you're someone who doesn't want to do that, I would like to actually push our community forums so all of our Nintendo Prime fans can kind of get together in one area and just talk about Nintendo and gaming and life in one spot together. And I think our community forums are going to be an excellent place to do that. Versus something like a Discord where things can kind of just get lost in the fray. Chats move so fast and all that stuff. It's not that bad now because it's exclusive to paid backers, but our paid backers will also probably be in the forums as well, and I'll probably add a new perk where the paid backers get like a special rank or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you next week.
You didn't plug your giveaway. What are you doing? Oh, I don't know him.
I'm waiting for Martin to edit in some music for that.
Oh, good God. Is this going to be at the very